Today, on a complete guide to four-wheel drive, we travel to Botswana to learn about driving Africa's sand tracks. We venture onto the treacherous Makadikari pans, we drive the brand new Isuzu KB diesel double cab, and to end the show, we take our almost complete Land Cruiser to the wonderland called the Richtersveld. On just about every wilderness excursion in southern Africa, a 4x4 is likely to encounter sand tracks. Some are easygoing, and some make handling slow and tiresome. An important part about sand driving is to not hold the steering wheel too tightly. If you hold it too tightly, you will have absolutely no feel, and you will not know which way your wheels are pointing. And if you do that, it's very easy to actually go straight with your wheels turned, which of course slows down the vehicle. Okay, if the steering is thrown around by the sand, kind of let it go with it. Just coaxing the vehicle with the steering wheel where you want it to go. Don't force it, because otherwise if you do, the front wheels tend to act as a plow, slowing progress. The other important part about sand driving is momentum, keeping a nice even flow over sand. If you have to start off from a steep slope in thick sand, it's difficult. Okay, now this is a typical thing that happens in sand. You a little bit misjudged the corner, went in a bit too slowly, and now I can't go forward. The sand behind me is very, very soft. So how do we make the sand less soft? Watch this. What I've done is I've compacted the sand by going smoothly back and forward, compacted the sand, and now I'm going to go back and do a smooth, gentle takeoff, but with enough power to get me over that difficult bit. Should work. Another fundamental of sand driving is under and oversteer. Deceleration in the corner is the key. Accelerate before the corner, tap off, accelerate out. Several years ago, I was asked to explain the sometimes awkward maneuver of getting out of deeply rutted sand tracks. I visited the central Kalahari in Botswana to film it, and this is what I came up with. Here we are, sand track driving in the middle of Botswana. We've already learnt that the front wheels can do all kinds of strange and wonderful things, yet the vehicle will follow the track no matter what. There are a number of tricks to get out of sand tracks. The most probable reason of wanting to get out of such a sand track is a vehicle coming in the opposite direction. Now, it's important that these instructions are followed to the letter, because it can get quite dangerous. Let's pretend we've got a vehicle coming towards us and we need to get off the sand track. Okay, the sand track is fairly thick, so it shouldn't be too much of a problem if I do this. Hold the steering wheel in the center, okay? And I'm going to jerk the steering wheel around and center it. If it doesn't come off the track, I'm going to center it. If it does come off the track, I'm going to center it. Watch this. And I'm off the track. Okay, that was a simple, we're going to go and try that again. Watch again. Driving along, jerk the steering wheel around and center it. You see how smoothly it comes off? We've already learnt that if I turn the steering wheel slowly, the front wheels will drag. Then perhaps they'll suddenly get traction and the vehicle will shoot sideways. By doing this motion and straighten again, the vehicle comes off very gently. Very, very important to center it no matter what happens. If it's very, very heavy sand, the moment you swing the wheel around, take your foot off the accelerator, which induces oversteer in a four-wheel drive vehicle. You'll only need to do that if we're not going to do it now, the sand here isn't thick enough. You only need to do that if the sand is really thick. You try it again and again and again, remembering to center each time. Swing it over and center. Swing it over and center. Eventually it'll come out of the track. Here we are in the notorious Makati salt pans, one of my favorite places on earth. Driving on the pans is really rewarding. It's also quite dangerous. The reason for the danger is this. Underneath this seemingly safe surface is thick, black, cloying mud. So bad that once your vehicle is trapped, you really have to do a hell of a lot of work to get out. The most important thing is, when you're driving across pans, don't be tempted to take a shortcut. Stick to the tussock grass. On the edge of the pans, we're going to go exploring later. We're going to see how the tussock grass extends into the pan, and around the tussock grass, it's generally pretty dry. The secret is to stay near the edge. Two basic reasons why: it's drier, and secondly, if you get bogged down, you can get an anchor from another vehicle close by. He doesn't have to drive through the same soft stuff and risk getting stuck. Let's go and take a drive. The gear of choice, high range second gear. Don't be too much in a hurry to change into third, although sometimes you feel like it, because if you hit soft patch, you're not going to have time to go from third into second. Drive with your eyes open. Soft patches can be quite easy to see, but you can miss them if you are looking at the wonderful surroundings. So keep your eyes open, high range second, keep the revs up, sit at about 2,000. So if you need power, it's there, on tap immediately. Some important advice when driving on pans. This scar tissue here on the surface is created by turning the steering wheel too hard. If the vehicle had been traveling straight, we wouldn't have broken through. That little bit of steering breaks through. Rule number one, never ever play pancakes on a salt pan. The vehicle will roll. This happens to the outside wheels only, and before you know it, your vehicle's on its side. Another good reason for sticking to the edge of the pan. They're so beautiful. Don't crisscross them with scars. Leave them as they are. Keep to the edge, look after them. So that those that follow you enjoy them as much as you do. Jacques and I, let me introduce you to Jacques. Give me the camera. He's the one holding the camera. He's very dirty at the moment. Okay. Jacques and I we've been filming how to cross pans. And we did something very stupid. We decided to try and get to a place called Kokonya Island. It's in that way, I'll show you now. We didn't make it. We got stuck. We didn't film it. It is 50 plus out there. I am nearly dead from exhaustion. It's taken us about an hour and a half to get out. We were lucky. I've been stuck on the pans many times. I knew what not to do. It was difficult not to panic. It is terrible out there. It's 5 kilometers to Kokonya Island. The first half is easy, and then it gets difficult. And the trouble is, it gets difficult, and you're still going, so it's okay. And it gets a little bit worse. So you think, oh, I'm still doing okay. And then it gets worse. Then you don't have any choice, so you put your foot down. And we eventually got to a little island of tussock grass, and as I did so I thought, oh, we've made it. Just. And we slowed down and we stopped on the tussock grass. And guess what happened? Straight in. Anyway, we survived. 2 vehicles, and don't take the pans lightly because they'll kill you. Cut. Go as slowly as possible over these rocks, because if you make a mistake in ground like this you can actually damage the vehicle. But the KBs, my impressions of the KB is that it is certainly as capable as any of the double cabs out there, whereas its predecessors I don't think was, but this is certainly a jump forward. The 3-litre diesel is enormously torquey at low RPM. In fact, it feels, compared to other pickups, that the gearing feels lower. The vehicle also feels very solid, and I would say probably more solid than many of its competitors. It really is it feels very nice to drive. One of my criticisms of the vehicle is that it has a very sensitive accelerator. It takes time to get used to, because a bump can make the vehicle jerk, particularly in low gears. So it takes a bit of getting used to in that respect. I don't think it's it could be fair to be saying a criticism. It's just that I prefer to have a lever, personally, to engage 4-wheel drive. This vehicle has buttons, and a little while ago wanted to disengage it from 4-wheel drive low range to 4-wheel drive high range, and it wouldn't actually change, and I actually had to turn off the engine to get it to change. I don't know if that's normal, but I prefer a lever. I suppose I'm old-fashioned. Let's see if it works now. I'm in 4 low. I'm going to stop. I'm going to press 4 high. Oh, I heard a clunk. Oh, I think it worked. See? Ah, it worked. Okay, well, it didn't work the first time, it worked the second time. So, it works. Well, after having spent a lovely time in the bush, it's time to go home, and it's time to take the Isuzu on the long 4-hour drive back home. And my impressions of the vehicle are that it is really such a leap forward from its predecessor, from the earlier model. It's a much more solid vehicle. Clearance is significantly better. Engine refinement is better, although I must say that the diesel, this is the 3-litre diesel, while it's got oodles and oodles of power, when moving quickly, it's got a bit of a diesel rumble, when less refined than some of its competitors' engines. The inside is considerably bigger as well, and you feel much more in control of the vehicle somehow. I think it's solidity. It feels very, very solid, and I've enjoyed the vehicle immensely. In order to find beautiful spots like this, we have to use maps, and we have to choose a map that is going to best suit our application. There are 3 basic maps. Firstly, topographicals. Typically, they're small scale, 1 in 50,000 or 1 in 250,000. This means that while only a small land area can be fitted onto one sheet of paper, one can take the coordinates off the grids on the sides of the maps, taking the line of latitude, followed by the line of longitude, and reading them off the map, and then inputting them directly into a GPS. And once you've done that, you can tell the GPS to either navigate from that point or to that point. Now, mapping is interesting in that scale is everything. The smaller the scale, the less amount of information you can put on one page in terms of area, country area, but the more information you can put on, the more detail you can put on. Now, this is, for example, an excellent map book. The scale is 1 in 3.5 million. Okay, so it's a very large scale. So in one page, you're getting half a country. Okay, so the amount of detail is limited by that. And now this is interesting. This has, it says here on the bottom here, GPS coordinates. And that confuses me a little bit, because I always thought that GPS coordinates meant that there was a latitude and longitude that I can input into my GPS and navigate to find my way. But I don't find that in this book. What I do find are grids. Here they are, grids, okay? Line of latitude, line of longitude. But with a 1 in 3.5 million, a pencil line, if it's a millimetre thick, you're talking 3.5 kilometres wide. Now consider how accurate you're going to be by taking a latitude and longitude line and plotting it into your GPS. You're probably not going to get accuracy of better than 1.5, 2, maybe 3 kilometres, which is totally impractical. So using very large scale maps to draw off latitude and longitude is just not possible. It's not practical at all. So that's a little misleading. What I look for when going travelling is an info map. The publishers have done something quite interesting. This is Tanzania. This is 1.3 million. So you still have the same scale problem with drawing off latitude and longitude. But what the publishers have done, they actually go and they travel the roads. And they mark down the latitude and longitude coordinates, true GPS coordinates of towns, places of interest, intersections, which is very important, border posts, bridges, campgrounds, da-da-da-da-da. Beautiful, beautiful maps, and generally speaking, very, very accurate. Okay, you can take this latitude and longitude coordinate either directly off the map, or they have an electronic product too, put them into your GPS and navigate to and from it. And that I find an absolutely marvellous tool for travelling to outback places. And the range of maps they have, absolutely marvellous. Tanzania, Kirkeland, Swaziland, Richtersveld, Mozambique, Lesotho, Namibia. These are South African maps, small scale, 1 in 300,000, Kruger National Park, Magaliesberg, Drakensberg, and Zambia. And I know for a fact they also do a Botswana map as well. These are my map of choice. We have just about completed our Land Cruiser double cab conversion and find ourselves in the Richtersveld National Park on her first outing.
Okay, this is a very, very messy campsite. It's a real campsite. I haven't dressed it, I haven't made it look good. We're playing with the stuff we fitted to the car. We've got a new canopy on the Colt. We've got a new tent here. I've got a brand new tent. We're experimenting with all of the stuff that we fitted to the vehicle. And some things I think are working so well. Other things are frustrating me a bit. I think maybe it's a time now where I can talk about some of the things that I've now fitted to the vehicle prior to this trip. First thing is I made a simple board. This was very easy to make. It's plywood, aluminium frame, it's screwed together and it fits there while driving. It's got cords that hold it down, so it's a ready-made table. Like a station wagon, when you drop that tailgate down, you've got a place to make tea. This vehicle doesn't have that. This is to do that job, and it's great. Really nice. One of the other things that I've done, I have a gazebo and I have long tent poles, and I don't want to arrive at a campsite with 25 poles and then try and have to figure how to fit them together. So I've fitted all of the pieces together. Instead of 25 small poles, I've got 6 long poles, but where to fit them? Up here I've got a drain pipe. Basically it's a standard sewage pipe. You get fittings on the end. Basically a piece of sponge so the poles don't bang back and forward, and all my long poles are in there. Simple as that. So I'm carrying, and that's just tied on with heavy cable ties straight onto the roof rack. An easy awning. I've had it on a couple of my vehicles. It's just such a nice thing. It just works so nicely. That is a fairly familiar piece of equipment that you can buy at any outdoor store. One of the very best pieces of equipment we fitted is a cargo net. A cargo net on the roof. This can be fitted to station wagons, pickups with canopies. It's marvelous at saving space. The other thing that's really working well, a simple shelf made out of aluminium strips. Very easy to make, bolt it on, and now I have a place up there where I can just pack sleeping bags. Keeps them up and out of the way. I've used every bit of spare space I possibly can, and I've started with the back door. Now the back door, I've taken away the panel at the bottom here and fitted a stove, okay, using the space. I've used ordinary elastic straps, and I've now have my cooker behind this. I have a braai grid. It's now actually on the fire. Braai grid in a wallet like this, fits in there perfectly strapped in. Here's a smaller braai grid. I've put two hooks at the top, and my cutlery sits like this. Now this is nothing extraordinary, but it's worth doing because it just makes life so much easier. When you're packing and unpacking the vehicle, if you've got cutlery and stuff and braai grids making things dirty, lying around, get them out of the way. Find a place and take them away from everything else. This is an interesting piece of equipment. This entire canopy is made by Isuzu KB in Cape Town. Very nicely made piece of equipment. Aluminium canopy designed for off-road exploration, off-road use. Particularly nice in that you can get to the back of the canopy and put stuff in, access stuff, which I found a big frustration with mine. I've been unable to easily pack stuff at the back of the canopy. This, fantastic, really nice. You can get in there, and it's designed around wolf packs, the standard ammo boxes. In here, you can really have what you like, but what John has done here is he's put all his recovery equipment. He does a lot of off-road training, so recovery equipment is something he needs all the time. It's just right there. The kitchen, gas bottle close by, and that is a working surface, and again made to measure. You do your own thing, put what you want. This is actually what they supply with the canopy, and it looks very nice. But if you have your own particular tastes or pots and pans that you want to fit in here, you just take the clips, you drill into the plywood, fit your own if you want to. Very nice. And again, boxes and things for convenience. Knives, plates, kettles, tie downs. Really very nice. Another idea is to pack clothes in boxes such as these and then indicate with a number or a name on each box, and then pack them on the slider so I can get to it easily. They interlock. I take the bungee, so now it's easy to get to and easier to put back in the vehicle.
Well, that's the end of our Land Cruiser conversion story. We began with a 2-door Toyota Land Cruiser pickup, built it into a 4-door double cab, added a multitude of fittings from suspensions, bull bars and winches. The Cruiser comes with a choice of 2 engines, a 4.2 diesel or a 4.5 petrol. I feel I made a mistake here. I chose the 4.2 diesel. Trouble is, with the additional weight, it became quite a sluggish vehicle on the open road. Aftermarket turbos are not really a practical solution for this engine in any way. Turbo modification increases fuel consumption to that of the petrol, so why not buy the petrol in the first place? For the serious adventurer, there are few vehicles that approach it for practicality, toughness, range and reliability.